Alright, here is the section that deals with compound inequalities, which is when you take more than one inequality and you put it together with another. So a compound inequality consists of two separate inequalities that are joined by and or. On the left side here I've got the one where they're joined by and, example of that, and then the right side I've got an example where they're joined by the or. If you look on the left side here, we've got two inequalities. We're going to put these together and join them by and show how that's done. So on the first one, x is greater than -3. So let's say here we put, I'm just going to label this -3, -1, -5. I'm labeling my number line. And if it's greater than -3, going to do a open dot, shade to the right. For the one below that, x is less than or equal to 0. Label my number line, close dot at 0, and shade to the left. Now when you put this together using the word and, you're going to take both of these inequalities and combine them into one statement. So I'm going to put the x in the middle. And then look at the two numbers. I've got -3 for one of the numbers and a 0 for the other number. I'm going to take the smaller number and put it to the left, the larger number put it to the right. So I'm going to put -3 over here and then 0 over here. I'm going to look at the sign that's in between them. So here we are with x being greater than -3. So down here I want to keep it the same with the gator. The gator is eating the x in the inequality by itself, so I want to keep that the same. I want to have the gator still eat the x for that one. And then as you look at this one here, between the x and the 0, the gator wants to eat the 0, so I'm going to keep it that same as well. I'm throwing the equal to symbol. So that's how you write the inequality, by combining those two together. And if you were to graph it, you put them both on the same inequality, so, or on the same number line, I mean. So if we've got, let's see here, let's say this is -4, -3, -2, 1, 0, +1. Okay, so I'm going to put them both on the same number line and see where they overlap. So x has got to be greater than -3. So I'm going to put a point there. X has got to be greater than or equal to 0, and it's everything in between. Now for the or, again, we're looking at two different inequalities. We want to put them together. The first one, x being greater than or equal to 1, I'm just going to go ahead and label the number line here. Greater than or equal to 1, close dot at 1, shade to the right. For the second one, x less than or equal to -2, label the number line, and I want to do an open dot at -2, shade to the left. When we put them together, it's a little bit different. We are going to still kind of leave them separate, so we're going to actually write this as x is greater than or equal to 1, or x is less than or equal to -2. And when you graph it on a number line, let me just label this number line here. You put them both on the same number line. So we got greater than or equal to 1, so close dot, shade to the right, less than or equal to 2, open dot, shade to the left. Okay, for this first example here, we are asked to translate the verbal phrase into an inequality and then graph the inequality. So for part A, all real numbers that are greater than -1 and less than 4. So let's write those individual first. We got one that x is greater than -1, and there's a keyword in between. So there's that keyword in between, and less than 4. So I'm going to take those and graph them on the same number line. So let's say here, 2, just labeling my number line. X greater than -1, so I have an open dot here. Less than 4, have an open dot there, and I want everything in between it. If I write write the inequality together, I'm going to take the x in the middle, the smaller number on the left, larger number on the right, and I'm going to insert the inequality signs, making sure the gator wants to eat what it needs to. So if you look at this, if you look at this inequality here, the gator wants to eat the x, so you want to make sure that the gator eats the x there. If you look at the other inequality, the gator wants to eat the 4, so I want to make sure that I keep that the same as well. For part B, we want all real numbers that are less than or equal to, all real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 3. So here's the key word in between, or. So we've got all real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 3. So on a number line, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. We want less than 0, and we want greater than or equal to 3. Alright, so in example 2, we want to solve this inequality here, and since it's combined like this means it's going to be the and we can break it apart into 2 separate inequalities and solve from there. So one way we can break it apart is look at just that part of it. And when you do that, I'm just going to rewrite it. So we've got -14 less than x minus 8. And as I said, it's going to be and option. Then we can look at the other part of it and look at just this part of the inequality. So we have x minus 8 less than -1. So now we've got these 2 separate equations. We can go ahead and simplify them, get x by itself on this one that's in red, and when we do that, add 8 to both sides. So we get -14 plus 8 is -6. For the other one, if we add 8 to both sides, we then have x is less than 7. So if we put this on a number line, this one here in red can also be written like this. So let's see here, if we do label the number line, okay. X is greater than -6, so I'm going to put an open dot here. X is less than 7, so I'll put an open dot there. We want to shade everything in between. Alright, so here we have the third example here. We want to solve this inequality. There are 2 inequalities already separated by the word or, so I'm just going to solve these individually here. So if we look at this one on the left, to get the variable by itself, we need to start out by subtracting 1. So we have 3h less than -6, and to get h by itself, we got to divide by 3 on both sides. So h is less than -2. That's one of them. The other one, we look at this, we're going to add 5 to both sides. So then we have 2h greater than or equal to 12. You divide both sides by 2. And we get h is greater than or equal to 6. And again, the word in between here we got is or. So if we graph this on a number line,
Just getting my number line set up here. X is greater than, or I'm sorry, let's start with the one on the left in red. H is less than -2, so I'm going to do an open dot. And the one on the right in green, H is greater than or equal to 6, so a closed dot. And at the open dot, -2, we want less than, so I'll shade this way to the left. And then for the one in green, H greater than or equal to 6, closed dot, we're going to shade to the right.